I was buttoning my wedding dress when I got the text that destroyed everything. Not a rumor, not a suspicion, not a feeling I could not explain. A text with a photo attached. On the morning of my wedding. I want you to think about that for a second. The flowers had been delivered. The caterers were setting up. My mother was downstairs making tea. 200 people were getting dressed to come celebrate the happiest day of my life. And I was sitting on my childhood bed in my wedding eve pajamas, watching my entire future collapse in a single moment. This is that story. And I want to ask you something before we even begin. Have you ever had a single moment, one single second, where everything you thought was real turned out to be something else entirely? Because that is exactly what this morning was for me. Drop a yes or a no in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Welcome back to Betrayed Hearts. If you are new here, this is a channel about real stories. Stories of betrayal, cheating, deception, and most importantly, what happens after. I am your host, and I want to be upfront with you from the beginning. The stories I share here are real. Some are mine. Some belong to people who trusted me enough to let me tell them. Every single one is told with honesty and without judgment. Today, I am sharing something that is deeply personal. This is the story of how the two people I trusted most in the world, my best friend of 11 years and the man I was about to marry, destroyed everything in a single night, and how I made a choice the next morning that changed the entire direction of my life. Stay with me. This one is a lot. To understand why this hurt the way it did, you need to understand who Aaliyah was to me. We met in our first week of university. We were assigned to the same orientation group, and within 2 hours we were finishing each other's sentences. That kind of friendship. The kind you do not have to explain or maintain because it just exists, constantly, in the background of your life like breathing. 11 years. Through family losses, career changes, difficult relationships, cross-country moves. She was the first person I called when I got the job I had been working toward for 3 years. She was the first person I called when my father was in hospital. She was the first person I called when Kamran proposed. She screamed so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. She was my maid of honor. She helped me pick my dress. Ma, we spent an entire Saturday trying on dresses in 3 different boutiques, and she cried at the one I chose before I had even made up my mind. She organized my bridal shower down to the last detail. She gave a speech at my engagement party that made everyone in the room reach for a tissue. I trusted her with everything. There was not a single version of my life that did not have her in it. I could not have imagined one. And here is what I want to ask you, because I think about this a lot. How well do we really know the people closest to us? I mean truly know them. Not the version they show us every day, but who they actually are when we are not in the room. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Because what I found out that night made me question everything I thought I knew about human beings. Kamran and I had been together for 4 years before he proposed. He was charming in the way that makes everyone around him feel like the most important person in the room. Funny, attentive. My family adored him. My friends adored him. Looking back, and I have spent a lot of time looking back, the signs were there. I chose not to see them because I did not want to be the kind of person who looks for problems in a good thing. The phone always face down on the table. The late nights that were always plausibly explained. The way he and Aaliyah would sometimes exchange a look across a room that I could not quite read, but always filed away as nothing. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself I was anxious about the wedding. I told myself a lot of things that turned out to be wrong. And I want to pause here and ask you something directly. Have you ever noticed a sign, a look, a change in behavior, a feeling in your gut, and talked yourself out of it because you wanted to believe the best? Because I think more of us have done this than would ever admit it. Comment below if you have been there. You are not alone, and you are not stupid for choosing to trust someone you loved. The night before the wedding, I stayed at my parents' house, as tradition. Cameron stayed at his brother's. Aaliyah was supposed to be with the other bridesmaids at a hotel nearby. Everything was exactly as it was supposed to be. I went to bed at 11. I was nervous in the best way, that fizzing, electric feeling of standing at the edge of something enormous and good. I think I was asleep within minutes. At 2 a.m., my phone lit up. Unknown number. I almost did not open it. I remember thinking it was probably a wrong number or spam or something that could wait until morning. I opened it anyway. The message said, "I think you deserve to know what happened tonight between your fiancé and your best friend." There was a photo attached. I will not describe the photo in detail. I do not need to. What I will tell you is that it was taken in a hotel room, and it was completely, absolutely, devastatingly clear. I put my phone face down on the bed. I picked it up again. I looked at the photo again as if looking at it a second time might change what it showed. It did not. And I sat in my childhood bedroom in the dark, and I did not move for a very long time. Now I want to ask you something, and I really want you to think about this one before you answer. If you had been in my position, if you had received that message at 2 a.m. the night before your wedding, what would you have done? Would you have called someone immediately? Would you have confronted them that night? Would you have canceled everything on the spot? Or would you have done what I did, sat in silence and waited for the sun to come up? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know what you think you would have done. Because what I chose to do next is something people still debate when I tell this story. I did not sleep. I did not call anyone. I did not cry. Not yet. I just sat with it. The image. Oh, the reality of what it meant. The way the entire architecture of my life was shifting around me in real time. I thought about Aaliyah. I thought about every conversation we had ever had about Cameron. Every time she had told me how happy she was for me. Every time she had talked about what a good man he was. Every speech, every hug, every tear at my dress fitting. Was any of it real? That is the question that kept circling. When she cried at my dress fitting, were those real tears? When she gave that speech at my engagement party about the love I deserved, did she mean a single word of it? I still do not have a clean answer to that. Maybe some of it was real. Maybe the guilt and the betrayal existed in the same person at the same time. I do not know. What do you think? Can someone genuinely love you and still betray you that completely? I am serious. Leave your answer below because I have thought about this for 2 years, and I still go back and forth. I thought about Cameron, about the proposal, about the 4 years, about all the times I had pushed down the thing in my gut that said something was not right and chosen to believe the version of the story that let me be happy. I watched the sun come up through my childhood curtains. At 7 in the morning, my mother knocked on the door. She came in carrying tea, already dressed, already glowing. She sat on the edge of my bed, took my hands in hers, and said, "Today is your day, my love." I looked at her. I made a decision. I did not tell her. Not yet. I got up. I showered. I sat in the chair while the makeup artist covered the circles under my eyes that gave away a night of no sleep. I let people do my hair, and I smiled when people came in to check on me. And then, when it was time to walk to where the ceremony was set up, When I could hear the guests arriving, the music starting, the whole beautiful machinery of the day I had planned for a year beginning to move, I asked to speak to Cameron privately, just for a moment, before we started. He came into the room looking perfect, composed, happy even. I took out my phone. I showed him the photo. He went completely pale. The color left his face so fast it was almost shocking. He opened his mouth. He closed it. He said nothing. And that silence, that absolute, guilty, total silence, told me everything I needed to know. There was no wedding that day. Here is what I want to ask you about this moment specifically. Do you think I did the right thing by waiting until that moment to confront him? And some people I have told this story to say I should have called him at 2 a.m. and ended it immediately. Others say I was strong for waiting and facing him in person. A few people, and this surprised me, said I should have walked down that aisle and handled it quietly afterward. I disagree with that last one completely, but I want to know what you think. Comment below. Where do you stand? 200 guests were told there was a family emergency. My mother did not speak for 3 days, not out of anger at me, but out of a grief she did not know how to carry out loud. My father handled the calls. My bridesmaids handled the flowers and the food and the quiet, terrible logistics of undoing a wedding in real time. Cameron tried, in the days that followed, to explain. There is nothing to explain. I did not give him the conversation he wanted, and I never will. Aaliyah sent me one message. It said, "I am so sorry. I do not know how it happened." I read it once. I never replied. That was the last message I ever received from her. And I want to ask you about that too, because people have very strong opinions about this. Some say I should have confronted her directly, face to face, and given her the chance to explain. Some say what I did, the silence, the no reply, the complete removal, was the most powerful response possible. What do you think? Does someone who does what she did deserve an explanation? A confrontation? Or nothing at all? Tell me in the comments, because honestly, the debate around this question alone could fill its own video. It has been 2 years since that morning. I am not going to stand here and tell you I am fully healed, because I am not sure that is how it works. Healing is not a destination you arrive at. It is something you practice imperfectly on ordinary days. Some days I am completely fine. Some days something small, a song, a smell, a wedding invitation in the post, brings it back with a force that surprises me. But I will tell you this, and I mean every word of it. I am grateful. Every single day, I am grateful that I found out before I said those vows. I am grateful for the unknown number that sent that message. I am grateful for the choice I made that morning to face the truth instead of walk past it. Ye, the woman who sat on that childhood bed at 2 a.m. in the dark, she deserved better. She always did. It just took losing everything to finally believe it. And that brings me to my final question for you today. If you have ever been through a betrayal, any kind of betrayal, not just romantic, not just this extreme, how long did it take before you felt genuinely grateful for what it showed you? Or are you still in the part where grateful feels impossible? Because that part is real too, and it deserves to be said out loud. Tell me where you are. No judgment here. This is a space for honesty, and that goes both ways. If this video meant something to you, please subscribe. Leave a comment below with your answers to any of the questions I asked today. I read every single comment, everyone, and I reply as often as I can. Share this with someone who you think needs to hear it. And if you have a story of your own that you want to share on this channel, the link is in the description. Everything is kept completely anonymous unless you tell me otherwise. I will see you in the next one.